Welcome to Sudoku's biggest secrets finally revealed. At least this puzzle's secrets finally revealed. But in telling the story of this puzzle, for sure we're going to get through some other secrets. So I'm Thomas Snyder. I made this puzzle with different ideas and tools, a whole sort of approach to this. I made this to tell a new story, and I'm going to talk about why I made the puzzle, how to solve it, and also sort of how I made it. Some things I don't always share, but for the first time in this video, we're going to share some of these things. And so one reason why is that I've been having a full 12 months of Sudoku project on Grandmaster puzzles and with other partners, and so I've been doing really special things this year. This isn't my favorite Sudoku I've made this year, but this is my favorite one from September, so it at least wins this month. So it's special enough if you've not seen any of our other videos or heard our other stories. This is a really elegant handcrafted grid with a trait of its solving you've probably never ever seen before and would never run into by solving random computer-generated grids that a lot of the apps you'll find other stuff will have. So if you want to know what's different, if you want to know what makes Sudoku special, puzzles like this do that. And even right now, like we just launched a game which has some of the most played Sudoku I've ever made in my life, which is a 6x6 game, a simplified form of Sudoku. It's in partnership with Nick Lee, the Japanese originators of Sudoku. They also handcraft puzzles. They also tell elegant stories through their puzzles. And so if some form of the Sudoku fad was computer generation taking the Japanese Nick Lee Sudoku, bringing it to the world in 2005 wasn't really awoken to what's possible with this grid, with these designs. We're trying to kind of reawake people to what's possible, and it starts with 6x6 puzzles, but it sometimes has these larger puzzles. And so I wanted a puzzle that had a mini Sudoku theme hidden within it somehow, as if you like solve one layer and get to a second layer. And the idea I had before trying to see if it was constructible was to have a puzzle which would separate out two kinds of steps that are sometimes called the easiest steps in a Sudoku. One, which is how a computer thinks about solving Sudoku. If someone is in a computer science class and trying to code a Sudoku solver, the very first thing they'll run into are what are called naked singles, which is when if you list all the possibilities in a cell, because of other numbers eliminating possibilities from a set theory perspective, there's only one option left. It's naked in the cell, you can place it. Humans, we start with blank grids. Like we have cells that don't have such information. We have to put in such information. So naked singles are very hard compared to hidden singles for human solvers. But this is where the balance of how people solve changes. And so I wanted a grid that would have exactly this story. Hidden singles for a while, then like, boom, I'm stuck. And then you've got to do something else. And in the original story of Sudoku, like Number Place as made by Howard Garnes, it was a US puzzle initially. It had so many givens, you only had to do hidden singles or naked singles. You didn't have to do extra heuristics. You didn't have to learn all the depth of Sudoku. And so what even Nick Lee did by building puzzles differently was open up the potential of an art form using instructions that an American had come up with in 1979 or earlier. They were first published in 1979. And so I want to respect the full story of Number Place into Sudoku, and this puzzle sort of tells that story. Like, it got so far, and then you got to do more. And Sudoku does more, and I want to do more as I write these puzzles. So we're going to start by showing you how to play it, how I would play it, two different ways in the app that we actually shared for this. And then I'm going to do some more careful analysis in a tool I've never revealed I used before. It's a tool from 20 years ago. It's one of the hard tools to use because I got to keep finding a special way to get the Java package to still work with modern computers. Like, this isn't maintained or loved, but this is the single thing I love the most in this world to look at Sudoku, and has taught me so much through 2 decades of using it. So we're going to get to that, but let's start by solving this grid. So how do you want to solve this grid? One of the ways most people start by solving a grid is they look at the numbers. They might go in order, so let's just do that. And when you look at a number like 1, this one comes over here, this one comes over here, this one comes down this way. One of the rules in Sudoku is you can't repeat a number in a row or a column, but a number has to be everywhere. So in this box, in the middle left, a 1 has to be placed, and that's the only cell left for it. This is technically called a hidden single, and why is it called a hidden single? At this moment in this puzzle, the cell can still be a 1, a 5, or an 8, and it can be those 3 values and not a 2, a 3, a 4, a 6, a 7, or a 9, because all of those values see this cell. Those are the other numbers in the row, the column, and the box, and there are 2 3s, but otherwise those 7 numbers see the cell. So in the sense of how a human sees this puzzle, the 1 is hidden among 1, 5, and 8. But if you marked all these other boxes, there are no other 1s in other boxes. This is exactly a 1. And so if you need to know why the nomenclature is what it is, that's why the nomenclature is what it is. But coming down to column 1, column 2, you need to have a 1 in this box somewhere. This is the only place in column 3 for a 1. And we're now at another stage of the solve. And I will just do a step here, which is I'm going to look in this row, which has a 2, 5 and a 2, 5. But this 5 is already seen. At this moment, there are two placements we can make to finish this row. This is strictly called a naked single at this moment because it has only one option left for it. In this region, this cell, only a 2 is possible. It's not a 1, it's not a 3, it's not a 4, it's not a 5, it's not a 6, it's not a 7, it's not an 8, it's not a 9. But in this row, I could also say there's a hidden single 5 because there are only 2 cells left that could take any numbers, and this is the only value across these. It still has a 5. But whenever you get almost finished with a space, like feel free to just look at the space. Like if we're being pedantic, we could say I used a naked single 2 before a hidden single 5. Anyway, people will get these spots. They're easy to look at. People will then look at like these spots and see this needs a 4 and an 8, and there's a 4 over here. So that there's a hidden single 4, there's a hidden single 8. This column needs a 7 and a 6. There's a hidden single 7. There's a hidden single 6. Hidden single 3. We're getting some good progress. We still have some work to do, so let's sort of think about those things. What numbers haven't we looked at yet? Well, we haven't looked at 3, at least in this corner. This 3, sorry, I just didn't mean to type an X there. This 3 sees these cells. This 3 sees these cells, so there's just one spot left for a 3 in that part of the grid. Still looking in this area, let's look at 9s. These 9s work together to say, actually, at the start of this puzzle, this is the only cell in the lower left region that can have a 9 in it. That looks great. This 6 comes across and says there's a 6 here, and the last option in the space is this 4. We still need to work into this region somehow, or into this top region somehow. So what we want to do is think about numbers that are over here, because what we need to do is not just eliminate vertically, but sometimes eliminate horizontally. So let's look at 8s. This 8 takes away these positions, and this 8 takes away these positions. You should see that this is the only 8 that can still be in this puzzle. We could look at this 4 and this 4 and see that this is the last cell for a 4. This region needs a 5 and a 7, and the 7 takes away one option. So this is a 7, this is a 5. This cell in this column has to be a 6. This 5 looking to the left says this is a 5 and a 2. And similar thinking down here, like we need to look at some of these numbers to make placements. Let's look at this 4 and get that this is a 4. We can look at this 5 and see this is a 5. We're using a number to place a number. This 8 eliminates these cells, so this is an 8. The 7 eliminates that cell, so this is a 7. Have to have a 1 here. This 1 and this 1 point here, we get a 1. We get a 2. We get a 7. And now we're going to hit a hurdle we just don't know how to resolve. Here are 7 1s. Across these positions are the last 2 1s. Do I know which they are? If I wrote this and this is called guessing. That could be wrong. This could be the other option. So 1s alone don't tell us enough. And if I highlight the 2s, I actually have 4 choices here and 4 choices here and 4 choices here and 4 choices here. So there are 5 2s left to go, and there are 16 potential cells for them. It will be 1 in this region, 1 in this region, 1 in this row, like nothing we can do with 2s. I can do this as long as we need to sort of convince you this is true of all the numbers. 3 has these 8 cells for the last 3 3s, nothing I can place. 4s have these options for the last 4 cells, nothing I can place. 5s have this option and this option for the last 5s, nothing I can place. 6s have these cells, and these cells. 3 6s to go, 8 places they could be. 7s have these cells and these cells, so just 4 choices, but again an either or. Can't make sense of them without a guess. 8s have these cells, these cells, these cells. 3 to go, again 8 cells. You'll see it's the same kind of pattern. It's 4, 8, or 16. This is going to be another 16. There's just nothing constraining this 5 by 5 square. So this is a little smaller than a mini Sudoku. Maybe this is a micro Sudoku. This is a 5 by 5 puzzle that if you only know how to look at numbers at one at a time to place the others, you'll be stuck for the rest of life. So you have to be one step smarter than just looking for hidden information. And this is where one of the hard steps, but something people could choose to do, is to say, I have, like, these cells all see this number. What's left? And I see a 1, I see a 3, I see a 4, I see a 5, I see a 7, I see an 8. Like, this is a way you can go as, well, that's a 2, 6, 9 cell. And I can do the same thing with these. This now is a 2, 9 cell. This sees a 6, and all the other values were still shared. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. And the 6 leaves just 2, 9 in this position. And you can go around the grid like that. We're going to come back to this kind of solving, but most people, if they solve hidden information, what they'll do is come back to what we were showing. Well, we have a 1 in one of these 2 cells. Let's just mark that for ourselves. That's a notation for the future. Let's actually be very lucky. I'm going to jump ahead to the 4s. Let's look at 4s. There is a 4 in one of these sets of cells. Well, what happens if I look at two numbers together at the same time? I've now deduced that across 1s and 4s, they collectively sit in these cells at the same moment. They can't have other options for them. So if I put a 2 in here, I can't make this puzzle work, because if a 2 is in the cell, 1s have to go like this, and then I also have to place a 4 here, I'm not sure where, and another 4 will go over here. Like, it's just broken. And so some solvers will figure out a hidden pair before they know about hidden singles. And that's perfectly fine. Like, if you get this hidden pair, you now can say in this column, there might be a hidden step to place. This has 2, 7, 9 to go. If I look at the 7s, this is the only spot for a 7. Does that help me enough? Well, now this is the only spot for a 7. What do I do from there? Well, maybe I want to do some more notation, so let's think about that. There's only this spot for an 8. There's only this spot for a 5. Maybe you find the second hidden pair. This is a credible way to go through this puzzle, is to notate in such a way, one of these cells must be a 5 or an 8. If this is a 6, I can't finish the puzzle. So that cell can't be a 6. What does that mean? That means when this 6 comes across and this 6 comes up with everything else in the space, this isn't a 6, that's not a 6, that's not a 6. This is a 6. Let's just place this 6. Let's just place this 6. We're now off to the races, and we can finish the puzzle in different modes. I'm happy to kind of go through that. So let's just I'm trying to catch up without giving you a number I really see. But this 5 coming across, this 5 coming up gives a 5, gives a 5, gives an 8, gives an 8. We try to do that. We finally place a 9, gives a 9. This gives a 9, gives a 9. Got 2 and 8 here, 8 to the right, 2 there, 3. This 3 coming up places a 3, which gives a 3. The one from the bottom gives 1 and 4, and 4 and 2, and 2 and 2, and we're through this grid. It didn't actually take us 13 minutes to solve this, but we had some sticking in the middle. Like, this is a pretty real experience. Now, I'm going to jump to a different tool, because what I want to do is show you in general about naked singles. And the best way to show this tool is with my favorite way to actually go about this, which is a tool that is still hard to run, but in the early days of the Western world Sudoku craze, Jean-Christophe Godard made this Java package that just has a lot of customizability with it. There are still things I'd want to do with it that I can't do today, but like one thing I can do is set the options to show you all the pencil marks. That's a lot of info. None of the pencil marks like I'm solving. I'm going to do something in the middle. I'm just going to sort of go around the grid and say, we showed you this is a 2, 6, 9 cell. If you look to the left and look in the box, look below, there's only these options there, and 2, 9, and 5, 6, 9. Like, one of the places people may start is to say, well, these are the most constrained cells. This is a square. It's got 4 numbers left. It turns out we've got a 2, 9 cell, and a 2, 8, 9 cell, and a 2, 3, 9 cell, and a 2, 3, 8, 9 cell. So this cell actually still has all 4 options for it. So you do like this naked single hunt. You're like, where is it? Where is it? And you might say, oh, 2, 9 is cool. 2, 9 is cool. This is the naked pair, actually. If you wanted to take these cells, you could find this is a naked pair. This is harder than a naked single, but you might find it along your search, and then you get the 6, because if this is a 2, 9, this is a 2, 9, then they're already in this row, and this becomes a 6, and now you finally run into that 5, 8 pair we just told you about. A hidden pair is the opposite of a naked triple in this puzzle, and that naked triple actually breaks into a naked pair and a single once you have those things resolved. This is like a super complex way, not intended for the solve to happen, but the complexities of Sudoku allow a lot of complementarity of thinking to work out. So again, we're just going around the grid. We saw a 2, 9, we saw a 2, 9. Let's just keep going around the grid. 1, 4, 7. Here's another 2, 9. Like, maybe that's cool. Like, if you looked at these in this direction, you might find here's another naked pair that gives a naked single after you remove it, which would separately reveal that 1, 4. So like, was that my intention? Kind of, but no. Like, that's not actually the story of this puzzle. But when you look at a puzzle really carefully, you're going to discover 1 or 7 ways to solve this puzzle at the end. Hopefully, around moving this grid, you may spot exactly that cell in the center of the 5x5. I chose to place it there. I had an earlier version where I placed it in this corner because I want to do something like have it be a magic number there. But why is this 9 even easier to spot? I specifically made 5, 6, 7, 8 in order sit in that row, and 1, 2, 3, 4 sit coming up. And maybe rotating this grid would have helped even further. But there's some place that people run into this 9. And hopefully by the time people have placed that 9, they'll have remembered this was a 2, 9 cell in the corner. If not, this is the only other spot to go. So let me go back to a mode where I just show you all of that information. Again, this is This is how a computer looking at this puzzle is going to see this puzzle and say, oh, it's easy, there's a 9. It's easy, there's a 9. Great. It's easy, there's a 2. Oh, I just now have a 9 and a 3 and a 9, and oh, it's just solved. Like, that's not how any human sees this puzzle. But this is where a lot of the tools to grade and otherwise understand these puzzles sort of fall flat. Like, let me actually step back, let me reset this grid, but you sort of get the sense, like if I allow naked singles to happen, so I'm going to go to the solver tool. One of the cool things in this tool is I can turn on steps. If I allow naked singles to happen, the puzzle just solves. And so one thing this tool does is it just puts all the naked singles at a time. So if I actually clear this grid, let's sort of, where can I do that? Reset grid. Here's the grid at the start. At the start, there are actually a few naked singles. And one thing I love with how this tool does it is there's a very large font when it's 1 number left, and there's a sort of middle-sized font when it's 2 spots left, and then it's really tiny when it's not so useful. So a lot of people love marking all this stuff, but one of the things I want to first tell people is, like, cells like these are really great ones to look at. Why? Like, this cell sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 numbers. You should look there. Absolutely. This cell sees 4 things. This can never be anything better than what you see right now. It's got 5 choices left for it. So if you're trying to mark up this cell, or you're trying to mark up this cell, also sees 4 things. You're not yet at the right stage of the puzzle. So if I let the solver just do naked singles, it's done. 53 naked singles. And it's weird, because like I can turn on the human step we just did. Let me turn off naked singles. Let me turn on hidden singles. Let me just have it go through its step. It's placing some 3s. It's placing a 9. It's placing a 1. It's going slowly through these steps. And it does not have a naked single available to it. I have to make sure. I might have some harder steps. Like, okay, I've given it the ability to see remote pairs. That's a kind of weird step. Like, I've turned off so much. And one thing this tool has is like way more steps than I think the community now uses. But like remote pairs is an idea where if I have cells like this and this and this, if this is a 2, that's a 9, that's a 2, that's a 9. If this is a 9, that's a 2, that's a 9. Anyway, these are different colors. So a cell like this 2, 9, and a cell like, they both see this cell. And so I don't even have it able to see a naked pair. So it doesn't get that this is a 6, because you can overthink a puzzle. And when you turn on some of these things like having a Y-wing, you can solve this puzzle if you wanted to have some of these steps on. Right now, the only step this puzzle can do is a hidden single. And this solver is going to say I'm stuck. And maybe I know hidden singles and I know X-wings. Do X-wings help me at this moment? I'm still stuck. There's no X-wing at this moment. And like, it's weird that not more people think this way, because different solvers solve in different orders. Like, what if I put, as opposed to the naked single at the top, what if I put the naked single further down this list? Like naked single, naked pair are all after hidden pairs. How does your solve look in this puzzle? Your solve looks like you find a 1, 4. It looks like you place some 7s. It looks like you find a 5, 8. You place some numbers, all hidden singles, you finish. That's one way I showed you I just solved this puzzle. It's very human. I didn't use this tool to teach me that that was a way to solve the puzzle, but it's a very human way to solve this grid for a certain kind of solver. A different way to solve this grid for a certain kind of solver is you do singles first. And if you do singles first, the step you're going to get, if I move this up, is you get that 9, and you never find a 1, 4. You never find it, you just find numbers. And so, again, this tool doesn't give you everything you need to see, but there's so much it does well that I think there's something I'd love the community to learn through it, both how to look, where to sort of spot these things, understanding different people solve in different ways, understanding you can make a puzzle where hidden singles are not enough, just as I showed. Like this, like if you want to test that that's true in a puzzle, it'd be great to have a solver where you can just turn off certain skills. And if you want to say, is this puzzle fair for a 5-year-old? Maybe not. I was impressed someone took an hour to finish this puzzle because they really wanted to do it. And I'm also impressed that there are people who solved it in 2 minutes. But that's, everyone can get a story through this puzzle, because it's really telling you something fundamental about this game as I see it and as I construct it. So to get back to kind of the magic then, like that's how I solve it. How did I make this? Now, one thing people think you do when constructing puzzles, because I taught this in one of my books, and this is one of the ways I make puzzles, is I make a geometric pattern I want to fill, and I slowly fill in the numbers, and I go in order, so I'm trying to write the solve path as I go. And the last number I write is the finished puzzle. And maybe I use some tools in the last 2 or 3 numbers, so there might be 1,000 grids left, and 20 grids left, and 4 grids left, and 1 grid left. And a challenge that almost every human constructor has in making Sudoku is the last numbers often compromise your whole puzzle design to make it easier than you intended. Let's say you wanted the first step to be a hard step like an X-wing. Well, that last number you place, or the last 3 numbers you place, could have made some other path than the X-wing exists. Like imagine you were a crossword constructor and the letter in the upper left square affects everything else in the grid. Like if a Z is in the one across clue, all your theme entries break. Like you would never construct crosswords if that was the challenge you faced. And I think one reason people don't make classic Sudoku is that challenge of like, as you build by adding, it's hard to make this. I did not make this puzzle, which is very unique, by adding ideas. I subtracted ideas. So let me tell you how I did this. I first said, could I make any form of a grid have an interesting 5x5 pattern? And so I started by just like making these, like I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see there wasn't much to the square. It turns out this is a fully valid puzzle. It just solves with hidden singles all the way. So like this doesn't break apart where hidden singles no longer work. Like the goal is hidden singles no longer work. I didn't make a puzzle where naked singles don't work, but I could make an equivalent opposite design. If I wanted to confuse the AI, I would make the naked singles not work, not the hidden singles not work. And so I did some tweaking. I learned about the grid. I sort of moved some things around. This was where I got to a rest state. I had a grid that had a lot of candidates in different positions, one single cell that's a naked single, but there are no hidden placements you can make at this moment that are hidden singles. There is still there's a 1-3 pair at this moment and other stuff. So it's not the same as the grid you saw, because right now I have different digit identities. Like I don't have a 5, 6, 7, 8 row here. I don't have a 1, 2, 3, 4 column here. So this 7 becomes a 9 in the grid. But I figured the grids existed by hand. And so I have at least a puzzle that has a crazy number of starting numbers. This has 36 plus 20. This has 56 starting numbers. You've never seen a Sudoku with 56 givens. I could have just given you this puzzle. This is a mini Sudoku. You only have 25 cells to fill. Like this would be a fun game, but it can still be very challenging if you don't know how to solve all the parts of Sudoku. So we didn't go with grids that are this kind of perturbing, but you can slowly remove some numbers. So I did this by hand, just myself. The 5x5 isn't getting new numbers, so you'll always run into that step. I'm trying to subtract numbers and still have hidden single solve. So this is one way the grid could have looked. This isn't as clean as it wanted to look. So I'm someone that sometimes wants to make an idea as good as I can possibly make it. And I can shift rows around, I can shift columns around. I still wanted to preserve this 5x5 square. So like these things moving in the top are okay. This coming to the bottom and now this splits apart, not okay. But I eventually got to a space where, having done some relabeling, done other integrations, I got to the look of this puzzle. And I was very proud to share it on September 9th. I was very proud to have over 10,000 people solve it now. And I hope in different ways you got a whole lot from this story. Whether you're a beginner solver or an aficionado, there's a ton of ways you can start to show your Sudoku intelligence to me. You can continue to play puzzles like this. You can try to construct puzzles. For sure, if you've never made a puzzle before, share an idea you'd love to see. I've probably done it. If I haven't done it, I'm going to try to do it, because this is, for me, how we really push our intelligence, is to make what we've never done before. And sometimes that's learning how to make things you've never done. Sometimes it's just carefully analyzing the stuff that's out there. And I think there's a lot more Classic Sudoku can show that I just don't have enough people trying to do with me. So I'm trying to get more people on the team. And if you want to be on the team as a solver or as a constructor, just comment here, comment on LinkedIn, all the places where we're sharing the 12 months of Sudoku. We're so excited to start to reveal some of our biggest secrets that we've learned through Sudoku, and we hope to learn some from you all too in the future. Thanks. We'll see you again soon.